looking at source material that uncovers, well, a fundamental contradiction in social media. They promise everyone a voice, right? But the sources show there are actual mechanisms built into these platforms that tend to suppress anti-racist conversations. And it's a real paradox, especially for groups like Foundational Black Americans. They really rely on these spaces for political organizing, getting around traditional media.
Exactly. Essential infrastructure.
But if they're essential, why does the architecture itself seem biased towards suppressing their content disproportionately? Is it just mistakes or something deeper?
The sources definitely argue it's deeper. Systemic. They call it the digital racial contract.
Okay.
It's this idea that visibility online, your safety, your ability to even make political points, it's not the same for everyone. It actually gets distributed differently based on race.
Distributed different.
Yeah. And suppression isn't just kicking people off. You've got to look at the invisible stuff too. Deprioritization, shadow banning, where anti-racist posts just sort of fade from view.
That's a really key point. So if it's baked in, let's unpack that. Is it more about the rule, the policies, or the algorithms, the code itself?
It seems to be both, kind of layered together. The policies are often where it starts.
How so?
Platforms tend to define hateful conduct really narrowly. They focus on what the sources call the institutional versus individual attack fallacy.
Meaning?
Meaning they target attacks on specific people, but they often miss or even allow criticism of structural things, like systemic white supremacy.
Ah, okay. So criticizing a person might get flagged.
Might, maybe.
But criticizing the system itself, that critique, even if it uses strong language because it's talking about serious harm.
Right. That strong, maybe emotionally charged language often gets lumped in as just toxicity. Meanwhile, actual hate speech directed at Black users, often handled poorly, sometimes even amplified by the algorithms seeking engagement.
And that brings us to the algorithms. The linguistic bias sounds pretty stark.
It really is. Some studies found moderation algorithms were more than twice as likely to flag posts written in Black vernacular as offensive.
Twice as likely, just based on language style.
Yeah, a clear linguistic bias embedded right in the code.
Wow. And we've seen actual political fallout from this too, right? Like with TikTok.
Oh, absolutely. TikTok admitted an error because its system automatically flagged phrases like Black Lives Matter and pro-Black.
But not comparable pro-white phrases.
Exactly. Failed to flag those. It just shows how political speech, collective identity language can be systematically muted.
Which leads to, I guess, what the sources call the most damaging part.
I think so. It's this idea of the lived experience of racism as toxicity.
Explain that.
It's when foundational Black American users share personal stories, their own experiences of racism, and those posts get flagged and taken down disproportionately. By AI, by human reviewers, both.
Getting penalized for sharing trauma. The sources call that digital re-victimization. That's heavy.
It is. The platform essentially punishes you for disclosing the harm. It almost validates the original racism.
And discourages people from speaking out in the future, I'd imagine. Pushes them toward safer, maybe less authentic content.
Precisely. Forces communities toward conventional and safe content, stifling real cultural and political talk.
So if the policies and the code are both contributing, what's the underlying driver here? Why does this pattern persist?
We have to connect it back to the platform's priorities, corporate incentives.
Meaning?
This kind of filtering, whether intentional or not, creates a certain kind of online space, a harmonious digital community, as the sources put it.
Harmonious meaning? Sanitized.
Kind of. Sanitized of messy conflict, of uncomfortable truths about inequality, and that cleaner, less confrontational environment. That's what advertisers generally prefer.
Ah, the advertiser appeal. And the legal framework sort of enables this, right? Section 230?
Exactly. Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act gives platforms really broad immunity for their moderation choices, what they take down, what they leave up.
And that broad immunity means there's less incentive to do the hard work. The really nuanced, culturally aware moderation that costs time and money.
Pretty much. If you're not really liable either way, using blunt, cheap, automated tools becomes the easier business decision, even if it ends up silencing certain voices more than others.
So pulling this all together, what's the path forward according to the source material?
Accountability starts with transparency. The sources call for requiring platforms to perhaps actively amplify anti-racist content, not just take down the bad stuff. So final thought for you listening. What would that kind of proactive digital equity actually look like?